Assalamu alaikum students, this is Sir Abdul Samad Khan and today we are going to learn the final topics from the chapter System of Numbers for grade 7 Matriculation. So let's get started. Multiplicative Identity. When any number is multiplied by 1, the value of the number is not altered. Due to this property of 1, it is called the multiplicative identity. For example, if we multiply 5 by 1, we will get the answer 5. That means the original value will not be changed. Similarly, if we multiply 1 by -4, we will get -4. Okay, so whenever we multiply any value by 1, the value is not altered, means the value doesn't change. In general, any number multiplied by 1 is equal to the same number, the same as I have already told you before. Okay, so what is the multiplicative inverse then? For every integer a, there is a number 1 upon a or 1 over a, such that 1 times 1 over a is equal to 1 over a times a is equals to 1. Okay, in other words, we can say that any two values which when multiplied by each other and give us the answer 1 are called the multiplicative inverse of each other. Secondly, we can also define multiplicative inverse as the values which changes its positions. That means the numerator will become the denominator and the denominator will become the numerator. In this case, if you see that a is the numerator and in the denominator there is a 1, as we know that we doesn't write 1 in the denominator of any value, so the multiplicative inverse will become 1 over a. The numerator will become the denominator and the denominator will become the numerator. Here a and 1 over a are the multiplicative inverse of each other. Okay, note, multiplicative inverse of 0 does not exist. In other words, there exists no number whose product of 0 is 1. Okay. Okay, closure property of integers. We have read the closure property of addition and multiplication of the natural numbers. So now what is the closure property of integers? If we add, subtract or multiply any two integers, the sum means addition, difference means subtraction, and the product means multiplication, is again an integer respectively. Okay, this is known as the closure property of addition, subtraction and multiplication. It will be the property of addition, so it will be known as the closure property of addition, and if it will be the property of subtraction, so it will be known as the closure property of subtraction, and if in case of multiplication, it will be known as the closure property of multiplication. For example, if you see, we have given three different examples. The first example is of addition, like plus 5 is an integer and plus 4 is also an integer, and when we add these two integers we will get plus 9, and we know that plus 9 is also an integer. Okay, number 2, we have taken plus 5 as an integer and plus 4 as an integer, and if we subtract them, 5 minus 4, we will get positive 1, and we know that 5 is an integer, 4 is an integer, and plus 1 is also an integer. Okay, number 3, if we take minus 5 and plus 4 and if we multiply both the values, we will get minus 20. Okay, as we know that integers are actually the combination of the positive and the negative series. So in this case, 5 minus 5 is an integer and plus 4 is also an integer, and when we multiply these two values we will get minus 20, and minus 20 is also an integer. That means the closure property of integers will apply in the function of addition, in the function of subtraction, and in the function of multiplication as well. It means that the set of integers are closed under addition, subtraction and multiplication, the same thing which I have told you recently. Okay, multiplication of integers on a number line. We have discussed the addition and subtraction of the values on the number line. Over here we are going to read how can you multiply the values on the number line. Okay, So multiplication of two integers means the multiplier denoting the number of times the multiplicand is to be repeated. For example, in 2 times 3, 3 is a multiplier and 2 is a multiplicand. Therefore, there will be 3 repetitions of 2. Okay, 2 times 3 means we have to multiply, we have to add 2 3 times, 2 plus 2 plus 2. Okay, like this. Hence 2 times 3 is equals to 2 plus 2 plus 2, which is equals to 6. 2 plus 2 4 and 4 plus 2 6. So how can we show this on a number line? Like this. For example, if we stand at the value of 0 and 2 times 3 is 6, that means 2 plus 2 plus 2. That means whenever you have given the positive readings, remember one thing, that you have to move on the right hand side. Okay, because on the right hand side of the number line is to record the positive readings, and the left hand side of the 0 on the number line is to record the negative readings. Okay, so there are 3 positive 2, so we have to move on the right hand side 2 units, 1 and 2. After moving 2 units, we will be stand on the point 2. Furthermore, we have to add 2 more, so we have to move on the right hand side further 2 more, like from 2 to 3 1 and 3 to 4 again 2. Finally, after adding these 2, we will be reach at the point 4, and finally when we add again 2, we will reach at the point 6. Okay, so as we know that 2 plus 2 plus 2 is equal to 6, and this is how can you represent this on the number line. In case if one of the two values is negative, then the product is negative. For example, in minus 2 times 3 multiplies 3 and minus 2 is the multiplicand. Therefore, there will be 3 repetitions of minus 2. Minus 2 times 3 means we have to add minus 2 3 times, minus 2 and minus 2, and as we know that minus minus is the function of plus, so minus 2 will become minus 6. So if you want to show it on the number line, we can show it like this. As I have told you in the previous slide that whenever you have given the negative values, you have to move on the left hand side. Okay, so we have stand on the 0, and minus 2 means we have to move on the left hand side 2 units, so 1 and 2. When we move on the right hand side 2 units, we will reach at point 2, minus 2. Okay, then again we have to subtract 2 from it, so furthermore we have to move on the left hand side, so 1 unit and 2nd unit. So finally we will reach at point minus 4, and finally when we subtract the final minus 2, we will reach at the point minus 6. Okay, so as we know that minus 2 is minus 6, and we have already reached on the point minus 6 in the diagram. So this is how can you draw the diagram, and how can you show the negative values or the multiplication of the integers on the number line. Okay, so that's all from today's video. I hope you will understand this video, and we'll meet you in the next lecture from with some other topics. So thank you so much for watching, and till the next time, Allah Hafiz.